Hello, my name is Tiffany Chen. My last three digit is 075. Today I'll be doing the individual presentation for discourse analysis. Over here, I have my computer with me just to showcase the magazine that I'll be talking about. And to be completely transparent, I also have a small piece of note here for me to kind of like guide me through. However, I won't actually be using this, so don't worry. I have chosen two magazines in total to talk about, so let's begin. Number one, I'll be talking about the National Geographic one. And straight off the bat, you can just see that there's a really thick yellow border, which is National Geographic's this color. And to be really straightforward with it, this National Geographic magazine is about human mobility. As you can tell here with the world on the move and with the special issue here about migrants, refugees, and all of that, this is about human moving from places to places. So this is why I listed the theme out as human mobility. With the pictures given, a mom is carrying a kid crossing the river and all of that, following with like her legs being lifted up, creating a splash of water that is showing movement, which corresponds with the overall theme. And to give a really short background story is that the story of the world behind the move is about how migrants from Ethiopia moved across the Mediterranean Sea to Spain to find a better living condition there, just to have a better life. But then they moved there, and then they actually ended up not having a better life. It was all a fake news like that. However, they worked there. They needed to live in like a really cramped space with like a bunch of workers, but they still need to send money back home to support their families like that. This is the overall story of World Behind the Move one. And for this picture that I find to be really interesting is the fact that the yellow and the blue are creating a perfect contrast color, because whenever there's a contrast color, for us, our human eyes, we find it to be more aesthetically pleasing. And secondly, for some reason, the mom and the child are also wearing yellow. I think it's a coincidence, though. I don't think they actually did it on purpose for them to actually wear the thing and for them to take a picture. I think it's candid. It really makes it how do you say? It really touches our eyes because when you see a child and a mom moving like that, you kind of want to dive in deeper about what issue they're suffering with and what is happening to them. You want to know more about it like that, right? Also, with the child looking very distressed or looking very confused, you show some empathy, or you'll feel some type of way about oh, what is happening to them, causing you wanting to read more about what they have to say like that. Another thing I realized about the font is the fact that they use different fonts for their title, their own National Geographic's name, and also with the issue they're talking about. The issue they're talking about is in bold words, and with their own title, they're using some form of italic words like that. And another thing I realized to be really interesting is the fact that the title, the issue that they're talking about, World on the Move one, is the same size as National Geographic. So that in a way, they're trying to show that they're not more important than the issue, because a lot of the times when looking at a magazine, you can see that the brand have a bigger word or bigger font than the stuff that they're talking about. But in this case, National Geographic, they're not trying to do that. So that in a way, they're not trying to show that they're entitled. They're trying to level themselves with the title, with the issue that they're talking about. That's what I'm trying to say. So it's showing that they're not as important. They're the same like that. They're not trying to show inequality with the issue. And secondly, I want to talk about the my second magazine, which is from the New York Times magazine. This magazine is very interesting in my opinion. It's released on the date of 2020 August 16, which is the time where Donald Trump is still the president, by his first time, I guess. I don't know if he will be the second the president again, but anyways, over here you can see that there's some black parts missing from his face, and this is a really close up of his face, right? But then you can see that there is some black parts missing. It kind of shows us as an audience that we need to unravel the truth by reading more. Differently, if the whole thing was just his face, you can kind of it will make us as an audience feel oh, this is something about him. But then if there's a black part, it kind of feels like we need to fill in the puzzles ourselves by reading more, right? And there's a small word over here basically saying unwanted truth, the untold stories of um, President Trump's battle with the country's intelligence services. To keep it really short and simple, an intelligence war is about how countries basically fight by like cyber bullying like that, or like creating misinformations among each other, or like including like disinformation campaigns and other like covert activities like that. And to put it like a really simplified version, it's basically like an online war, just to like make one look better and one look worse, kind of that kind of way. And it's to shape the public's opinion. You can say that it's like an online war in a way. So yeah, a lot of people during this time are saying that Donald Trump is trying to lean towards Russians' favor, but not to Americans' favor. And to this day, it's still a conspiracy theory. No one really knows what's going on. But in a way, I would say that this black part missing in the eye over here can also be a metaphor towards like him being blinded, or like him being controlled in a way, like, you know, maybe he is blinded by something, or he's being hidden away from something, there's something we don't know, like that, you know, very conspiracy like, I would say. And this graphic design is definitely showing like, oh, we need to unravel more about this, or like he is blinded, something like that. But personally, I would take, my takeaway is that he's probably blinded towards something. And like, I personally don't find the article itself as being biased, but then people who finds it to be biased probably feel like, oh, this is him being blinded by something. So I think it depends on the perspective you're looking at. However, I would just say that this is, for me, it's him being blinded, or like the author or like the graphic designer wants us to unravel the truth by reading it more. So yeah, that is my individual presentation, I guess. Thank you so much.